Assalamu alaikum, friends. Welcome to the Zero Excitements channel. We live in a time where 5 seconds feels like 5 years, where a loading bar becomes a personal insult, where if a video doesn't hook us in the first 3 seconds, we act like it wasted our entire life. And this isn't because we suddenly became busier or more important, but because somewhere along the way, our brains quietly forgot how waiting feels, how patience sounds, and what it means to sit with anticipation without immediately demanding a reward. Think about it. We refresh messages before the other person even has time to blink. We get annoyed when food delivery takes 20 minutes instead of 15, as if someone personally betrayed us. We skip songs before the chorus, skip movies before the plot, skip people before understanding them. And yet, we constantly complain that life feels rushed, empty, and strangely unsatisfying, which is ironic because the very thing we removed from our lives, waiting, was the space where excitement used to live. Waiting used to be the emotional foreplay of life, the slow build, the silent tension, the imagination doing all the heavy lifting. But now we want the punchline without the joke, the success without the struggle, the intimacy without the awkward pauses, and the reward without the boredom that gives it meaning. And when we don't get it instantly, we label the entire experience as not worth it and move on, scrolling endlessly like emotional tourists who never unpack. We don't wait for messages anymore. We stalk last seen. We don't wait for relationships to grow. We demand instant chemistry. We don't wait for skills to develop. We quit after the first failure, and we don't wait for happiness either. We want it delivered fast, wrapped neatly, preferably with background music and a motivational quote, and if it doesn't arrive on time, we assume something is wrong with us, or worse, with life itself. There was a time when waiting was normal, when anticipation wasn't anxiety but excitement, when ordering something meant forgetting about it for a while and then feeling genuinely happy when it arrived, when letters took days and replies took weeks and nobody felt ignored because silence was expected. And now silence feels like rejection, delays feel like disrespect, and boredom feels like a personal crisis. We must escape immediately. We open apps without knowing why. We refresh timelines that haven't changed. We unlock our phones out of pure muscle memory. And when nothing new appears, we feel cheated, as if the universe owes us constant stimulation. And the truth is not that life became boring, but that we trained ourselves to only notice it when it screams instead of whispers. The funny part is that we call this efficiency, productivity, optimization. But what we really did was remove friction from everything. And friction is where meaning forms. Because when everything is instant, nothing feels earned. When everything is available, nothing feels special. And when everything is fast, nothing feels memorable. Which is why days blur together, weeks disappear, and years feel shorter, the more we try to consume them quickly. Even entertainment reflects this. We watch content at double speed, we skip intros, we demand plot twists every 5 minutes, and then complain that nothing hits like it used to, not realizing that excitement isn't gone, patience is, and excitement without patience is just noise that fades as quickly as it appears. We also stopped waiting for ourselves. We expect instant confidence, instant clarity, instant purpose. And when we don't figure life out by a certain age, we panic as if there was ever a universal deadline for becoming whole, forgetting that humans are not software updates. Progress is not linear, and most meaningful changes happen so slowly, you only notice them when you stop rushing.
Waiting now feels uncomfortable because it forces us to sit with our thoughts, and silence exposes questions we keep distracting ourselves from. So instead of asking, "Why do I feel restless?" we open another app. Instead of asking, "What am I avoiding?" we play another video. And instead of asking, "What do I actually want?" we chase the next quick hit of novelty that temporarily numbs the discomfort without solving anything. The irony is that we say we hate waiting, but we spend hours waiting without realizing it. Waiting for notifications, waiting for likes, waiting for validation, waiting for something external to tell us we're doing okay. And this kind of waiting is exhausting because it never ends. It has no payoff, and it keeps us emotionally suspended instead of grounded. Real waiting, the kind that used to exist, had an ending. A letter arrived, a call came through, a moment happened, and the wait made it sweeter. But modern waiting is endless, silent, algorithmic, and designed to keep us slightly unsatisfied so we keep scrolling instead of settling. We've become allergic to boredom, but boredom was never the enemy. Boredom was the doorway, the pause where creativity sneaks in, the space where reflection grows, the quiet that allows you to realize what actually matters. And when you remove boredom, you don't become more alive, you become more distracted. This is why vacations don't feel relaxing anymore, why weekends disappear faster than weekdays, why even happiness feels rushed, because we're constantly trying to capture moments instead of living them, constantly thinking about what's next instead of where we are, and constantly mistaking stimulation for fulfillment. Waiting taught us restraint, taught us gratitude, taught us how to value outcomes, and without it, everything becomes disposable. People become replaceable, experiences become content, and life becomes something to consume rather than inhabit. The solution isn't dramatic. It's not about deleting all apps and moving to a mountain. It's smaller, quieter, and honestly, a little boring at first. It's letting things take time again, reading without rushing, listening without checking your phone, waiting for replies without assuming the worst, allowing anticipation to exist without killing it with constant updates. It's about accepting that not everything needs to happen now. Not every feeling needs to be resolved immediately, and not every silence needs to be filled, because some of the best parts of life happen in the waiting, in the space between desire and fulfillment, where excitement slowly rebuilds its strength. Maybe we can't wait for anything anymore because we forgot that waiting was never wasted time. It was preparation, it was tension, it was imagination doing its quiet work. And maybe if life feels flat, it's not because there's nothing exciting left, but because we removed the pause that allowed excitement to rise in the first place. So the next time you feel impatient, restless, or annoyed at a delay, pause for a moment and ask yourself whether you're truly waiting or just uncomfortable being still. Because the ability to wait is not a weakness, it's a skill. And relearning it might be the most exciting thing we do in a world that forgot how to slow down. Welcome to Zero Excitements, where we don't promise instant happiness, we just explain why you stopped feeling it, and how maybe, slowly and quietly, you can learn to wait again. Like, subscribe, and we'll meet again in the next episode of Zero Excitements, where we'll make even more boring parts of life so interesting that you'll feel entertained while being bored. Allah Hafiz.